The courtroom is quiet, but the atmosphere is thick. Charged, all eyes are fixed on the man who spent years constructing his life upon charm and persuasion. Kody Brown. For years, he was the good husband, the spiritual guru, the man who would give up everything for family. But beneath that finely honed exterior, there have been secrets piling up like cards in a tower. And now that tower is shaking. Robyn sits in the front, her eyes puffy and red, muttering anxiously to her lawyer. Christine crosses her arms securely, her expression stone-like, a woman who has held truths for far too long, and has finally decided to let them consume the air. Janelle stands in front of her with determination, and Mary looks down, maybe questioning all the choices that brought her to this point. The Brown family, for a time united on TV screens, as an unlikely icon of love and belief, is broken apart in ways no television crew ever came close to exposing. What the world believed they saw was only the tip of the iceberg. Behind doors closed to them, money was exchanged in the dark, vows were broken, and private tape made the rounds, recording words never intended to be heard. Kody's booming, confident voice now trembles as it replays through the courtroom speakers, an echo of control, fear, and manipulation. The crowd gasps, jurors squirm uncomfortably in their chairs, and for the first time, the man who has made control his foundation of reputation appears trapped. And just when you're certain you know where this is going, yet another revelation detonates like dynamite, exploding everything remaining of the family's crumbling foundation. This is not simply about land, money, and treason. It's about identity, faith, and survival. How far would one go to save their empire when the empire was constructed on lies? How long can a painstakingly built image last once the truth starts oozing out? The lights within the courtroom cast flickers on the gleaming wooden benches, capturing every anxious spasm, every tear that falls noiselessly down a cheek. The silence between statements is louder than anything said. Voice by voice, voices are heard. Confessions, accusations, and stunning betrayals intertwine into a plot darker than anything Sister Wives viewers ever dreamed. The journey we're about to take pulls back every curtain, exposes every deal, and forces every player to face the weight of their choices. By the time it ends, nothing, not love, not loyalty, not even faith, will look the same. Because sometimes the most devastating betrayals don't happen in the shadows. They unfold under the blinding lights of truth, where everyone is forced to watch. Before we dig further, I want to stop and ask you something. If you've been following the Sister Wives saga for years, do you think that Kody's empire was constructed on love or deception? Let me know in the comments. And be sure to subscribe to Sister Wife Daily Scoop so you don't miss the surprising twists coming next. The judge clears his throat, and the ring of his gavel rings out in the courtroom. A silence descends over the room, interrupted only by the quiet hum of fluorescent lights overhead. Kody sits rigidly at the defense table, his jaw clamped tightly shut, his fingers laced together, as if he's grasping the final shreds of control. He appears to be a man who needs to talk, who needs to rationalize it all away, but today his words remain behind a barrier of fear. Across the aisle, Christine leans forward, her expression unflinching. This is not the woman viewers once saw struggling to balance loyalty with heartbreak. This is a woman ready to draw a line in the sand, her voice steady and unshakable as she begins recounting the years of manipulation and silence. Every sentence she speaks lands like a stone, heavy and undeniable. The courtroom listens, some in disbelief, others with grim recognition. Robyn dips her head, holding a tissue in her shaking hands. She weeps rapidly, but her presence is complicated. Is she victim, loyal protector, or last piece of Kody's fraying puzzle? Murmurs spread across the room as the lawyers pass papers back and forth, every page bearing evidence that burrows deeper into the shaky foundation of the Brown legacy. When trust is broken, even little things start to become as big as explosions. The prosecutor stands, his voice cutting, slicing through the quiet. He raises a folder, within, papers linked to shell companies and transactions that do not fit the public story that the Browns constructed over the years. It is no longer merely about polygamy, or reality television drama, or dysfunctional marriages. This is about money, power, and what happens when a family's image is more than the family itself. The documents show discrepancies. Money trails into businesses nobody ever heard of, and signatures that elicit nervous looks across the defense table. Christine's account is a picture of late-night discussions, hushed anxieties, and decisions she confesses now plague her. She isn't smiling, she isn't weeping, she is resolute. Every word is as if it has been waiting all these years to be voiced out loud. Mary sits quietly, her hands clasped together in her lap. To the naked eye, she may appear aloof, but to those who listen to her tale, the silence screams. She was the first, the legal wife, the cornerstone on which Kody constructed everything else. And yet with time, she became a shadow, a reminder of the sacrifices no one else was prepared to make. And so now, her silence seems almost as loud as any testimony offered. The power of the words left unsaid can destroy a room just as surely as any screaming accusation. The gallery audience shifts in discomfort. Some are devoted followers of the show, drawn by morbid curiosity. Others are strangers swept up in the pageantry. But all share the understanding that they are witnessing history being made. A family once touted as a testament to faith and perseverance now taken apart piece by piece, their private hurts exposed. The judge observes intently, jotting notes, occasionally looking at Kody, who has not moved yet. He is ashen-faced, his eyes flicking between Christine and the evidence presented by the prosecutor. For a man who had once made a living in front of cameras, every slight movement of expression is now a betrayal of the composure he attempts desperately to maintain. And just when the courtroom settles into the beat of testimony and evidence, the prosecutor calls for the technician. A speaker comes to life with a crackle. The room leans forward. From out of the shadows of the past steps a recording, Kody's voice, unmistakable, low and measured. His words are charged with tension, talking about money, about secrecy, about making sure certain truths were never made known. It's not a shout, it doesn't have to be. The mere sound of his voice recorded in this context is enough to send waves of shock careening throughout every corner of the room. Robyn gasps, her tissue falling from her fingers. Christine closes her eyes, the noise of vindication she's borne too long. Janelle tenses, her jaw firming, her determination etched across her face. Mary finally raises her head, her eyes clashing with Kody's, with a combination of pain and recognition. The past has a voice, even if one is attempting to silence it. The judge leans forward. "Play it again," he tells him. And the words reverberate once more substantial now, irrefutable. Kody finally stirs at that point, his hand clenching into a fist on the table. He leans over and says something to his lawyer, but the voice is too low to make out. The lawyer simply nods, his face grim. For the first time, the empire Kody constructed is shaky, on the verge of falling apart. The courtroom isn't only a legal arena anymore. It's a theater where every secret truth, every decision made in secrecy is finally being pushed into the light. And that's just the start. The courtroom is enveloped in an electric silence. As the recording stops playing, Kody's expression is impassive, but the jerk of his jaw gives away a flicker of fear. Christine's fingers grip the edge of the bench, her knuckles white with tension. All eyes are on him, but it's as if the walls themselves are closing in, as if they see what lies beyond his serene facade. Outside, sunlight comes in through tall windows, stretching long shadows across the wood floor. Inside, the air is heavy with unspoken blame, whispers, and the pressure of years of silence that are finally breaking. Kody looks at each of his wives, hoping for a glimmer of allegiance, a glimpse that all may not be lost. But the faces that meet his are storm clouds of rage, disappointment and betrayal. Janelle's voice shatters the silence. "How could you expect us not to see this?" she demands, husky and shuddering with contained rage. There is no softness, no hesitation. Her eyes glint with pent-up tears, her mouth tight as she forces past years of control. It is a question that will cut deeper than any court argument could. The naked, emotional truth no attorney can refute. Robyn rocks slightly in her chair, the tension in her body language betraying her inner struggle. She is torn between the desire to protect Kody, to gloss over the fissures in the facade of family that the cameras previously embraced. But another aspect, one that has worked silently for months accumulating evidence, capturing moments and shouldering burdens, suggests in a whisper that this time, loyalty is no longer a shield. With the break of silence, even the slightest confession will sound like a thunderclap. The prosecutor stands again, taking slow strides to the jury. His gaze never strays from Kody, as he details the money irregularities, tracing each transaction with methodical precision. Each step, each file opening, is like a spotlight on decades of secrets. The hum of the courtroom increases. Reporters scribble madly, onlookers lean forward, and even the judge inclines his head, drinking in every word. Christine leans in, her voice firm but with emotional undertones. She describes the nights she lay awake, questioning choice, examining irregularities, and quietly battling Kody. Her tone is not accusatory, though, it's confessional, as if spilling these secrets wasn't only an obligation for her, but a requirement for her survival. Mary's hands rest on the bench, knuckles white. She does not speak, but the intensity of her gaze cuts through the air. Years of restraint, patience, and quiet endurance have led to this moment, and the room can feel it. Every pause, every glance, speaks louder than any words could. The truth has a weight that no denial can lift. The tension diffuses with the calling of a witness, a former business associate who was heavily involved with Kody in his business dealings. His words tremble as he speaks of conversations, transfers, and agreements that now depict a picture of deceit. He calls names, dates, and dollar figures, each one of them causing a fresh ripple within the courtroom. Kody's lawyer stammers, papers rustling in agitated indecision. For once, he is not in command. Each deliberate step, that previously protected Kody from being revealed, feels tenuous, exposed, and precarious. Christine observes silently, the faint crease of a triumphant smile glancing at her lips. She knows this is merely the start, that every disclosure is a seed that will flower into unmistakable facts. Janelle fidgets in her seat, muttering something under her breath, almost inaudible, and yet the power of her words lingers in the air, heavy and unavoidable. Robyn swallows hard, nodding ever so slightly, torn between allegiance and the inescapable facts unfolding before her. Certain truths will not be denied, no matter how far they are concealed. The room holds its breath, as the witness drops the final bombshell, a document, unseen until now, revealing a transfer that links Kody directly to decisions he previously denied. Gasps echo through the gallery. Christine closes her eyes momentarily, taking in the weight of vindication. Mary's expression is unreadable, yet the subtle shift in her posture hints at the storm of emotions beneath. Even the judge leans forward, his pen suspended as if he senses that the choice will depend not on facts, but on the emotional undertow rippling through the room. Kody sits paralyzed, lips clamped, eyes scanning, the facade of control finally fraying. The past never remains hidden. It waits patient and unyielding, until the world is prepared to notice. The courtroom atmosphere is charged, as if each heartbeat reverberates off the high ceilings. Kody remains stiff, a brittle tranquility hiding the turmoil of the moment. His gaze darts at Christine, but the fire in her look makes him avert it. It's an insidious game of power, silent, awful, unstoppable. Each witness, each report, each hushed confession, has brought this precarious balance. And yet, it hangs in the balance of its collapse. Christine leans forward, arms clasped in front of her. Her voice, firm but peaceful, recites episodes that were once humdrum, private remarks, mutterings of confrontation, sleepless nights of angst, now divulging patterns of manipulation and deceit. Every memory is a needle, weaving the tale of Kody's decisions and their ripple effect on each wife. The courtroom shrinks, as if the walls are encroaching closer to hear. Robyn's face is white, her mouth pinched, eyes flashing between Kody and Christine. Conflict is writ large on her face. Loyalty battling reality. Denial versus truth. She swallows hard, the gulp loud in the silence of the room, a small punctuation to the maelstrom of revelation unfolding. At times, silence may be more potent than any admission could. Janelle fidgets in her seat, tapping her fingers against the bench. It's not nervous energy, it's excitement. the taut tension of one anticipating a collision. She is aware that the next bombshell may remake everything. Her faith, her vision of family and the tentative relationships that have kept them in tenuous connection. Her gaze crosses with Christine's, a conspiratorial understanding. It's not about Kody alone, it's about survival, separation from the shadows, and taking back control. The prosecutor calls a second witness, a former family member who labored quietly in the background. His evidence is careful, deliberate, disclosing papers that follow money moves, clandestine meetings, and conclusions that defy Kody's previous testimony. The room responds quietly at first. A change in seat, a hushed gasp, the bracing of jaws. But within minutes the tension becomes almost intolerable. The truth doesn't need permission. It just wants to be known. Kody squirms uncomfortably, each strand of his put-together facade unraveling. His lawyer tries to interrupt, but the cross-examination cuts mercilessly to the point, with little room for skirting around the issues. Each bit of information falls like a hammer on thin glass, at risk of shattering the well-crafted story he has held onto for so long. Christine stands, her voice firm but laced with emotion. She speaks of instances of betrayal that were not merely of money, but also deeply personal, choices that had left her questioning her value, her decisions, and the very pillars of trust in their union. Her words echo across the courtroom, a combination of pain, anger, and subdued vindication. Each disclosure makes the air thicker, heavy with the burden of stored-up anguish. Mary glares at Kody. She says nothing, but her stare is a tempest, placid on the outside, raging on the inside. Decades of observing, waiting and judging silently, have all come down to this. Each infinitesimal look, each withheld breath, each mute expression puts pressure, weighing the air towards certain reckoning. Betrayal leaves fingerprints upon every heart it touches. A whispered buzz erupts as a secret letter is brought into court, one Kody believed was private, safe, anonymous. The courtroom springs into action. Eyes expand, papers rustle, breath catches. The letter brings out the intentions, the deals and the lies that had been so artfully concealed from all, even from those closest to him. Christine's lips smile in the barest whisper of triumph, aware that the balance of truth is finally shifting. Robyn's hand shakes slightly, as she holds a folder of her own. Her role, her choices, her loyalty, all exposed. With every new revelation, her view of the man she trusted, the family she believed in, and the life she thought she knew is shaken. Janelle ducks forward, muttering something just beneath her breath, a personal recognition that the next wave will be even bigger. The room's energy is tight, a living entity, as if it recognizes the emotional peak is imminent. All secrets, all lies, all concealed motives are coalescing, and nothing can prevent the truth from coming out. The courtroom appears to take a collective breath, the ticking clock amplifying the tension. Kody fidgets in his chair, fingers drumming against the highly polished wood, an anxious rhythm undermining the composed face he's attempted to preserve. Christine stands again, a stormy calm in her demeanor, her eyes aflame with a tumultuous mix of hurt, determination, and vindication. Each word that is to pass her lips is carefully chosen, deliberate, but laced with emotion. The judge leans forward, intuiting the gravity of what is to ensue. The room falls silent aside from the quiet whisper of papers, and the occasional gasp of breath. Christine's voice, firm at the beginning, starts to crack as she describes a personal confrontation from years past. A time when promises were violated, trust was ruined, and the base of their family started to weaken. Her story spins a web of heartbreak and betrayal, and for an instant, the courtroom seems to be within her memory, experiencing each jab of suspicion and fury. Robyn swallows hard, tears welling behind her eyes. She refuses to let fall. She believed she knew her life, her place, and what Kody was up to. But now the truth is cutting through like a knife. With every secret revealed by Christine, substance is added to the unspoken doubts Robyn had long pushed aside. An internal turmoil threatens to spill outside. Pain given voice can't be unheard. Janelle sits back, a tired sigh expelling her, the kind laced with relief and weariness. She has seen this family work its way through decades of silent resentments and delicate coalitions, and now the courtroom lays bare the very essence of that complexity. Every look, every pause, every skillfully constructed lie is now visible, enlarged beneath the bright lights and relentless examination of the law. A major witness is summoned. Someone who witnessed intimate moments between Kody and the wives, private talks, and choices that touched lives in ways formerly concealed. Testimony by them is accurate, irrefutable, and leaves the court agitated. Every disclosure sharpens the glare on Kody, putting him in the uneasy glare of accountability. Christine offers evidence that comes perilously close to being too intimate to share, recounting intimate discussions, veiled threats, and manipulative tactics that had been swept under the rug for years. The words crash onto the page like heavy rocks, each one sending waves of shock, outrage, and incredulity. Robyn holds a sheet of paper in her shaking hands, a document she had hoped would never see the light of day. The figures, the clandestine deals, the furtive decisions, all exposed, confront a reality she has refused to acknowledge. But there is a feeling of empowerment in the revelation, a curious relief in finally having the truth. The nearer you get to the truth, the more difficult it is to deny. Mary stands silent, her face a mask, but her eyes reveal a compound of sadness and quiet gratification. She has witnessed the cracks, the tensions, the smoldering resentment, and the revelation of every secret place now seems like judgment. Her presence serves as a reminder that every decision holds consequences. Every falsehood comes to light, and every secret leaves behind evidence that cannot be wiped out. The courtroom whispers as a secret video recording is revealed. Kody, oblivious in intimate moments caught that undermine his claims, with secrets and motives concealed from all. The room breathes in unison, the weight of what is happening sinking in. Christine does not gloat, but her quiet satisfaction is evident. Justice, in its most intimate sense, is being served. Janelle moves forward, providing an additional block of testimony attesting to the emotional depth of Christine's testimony. Her voice is measured, choosing each word carefully, but it has the unspoken power of a person who has lived through betrayal. Each gaze in the courtroom follows her, and the tension builds with each disclosure. Sometimes, confronting reality is the greatest act of bravery of all. Kody's calm at last breaks. His customary veneer of control fails, and the vulnerability and fear he has used to hide behind charm and authority are exposed. The room realizes it in an instant. The dynamics have changed, and the balance he relied on has been destroyed. Christine locks eyes with him, a silent challenge, a demand for accountability. Robyn looks on, torn between sorrow and indignation. Mary's quiet observation feels like judgment, and Janelle's controlled presence adds an unmistakable weight of truth. Every emotion, every unspoken thought, every tension-filled glance combines to create a crescendo of anticipation. The doors of the courtroom appear smaller, the atmosphere thicker, and each beat of the heart is in tune with what's about to happen. Betrayal, once revealed, turns everything on its head, and nothing will ever be the same again. The air is thick with expectation, almost palpable. All eyes are fixed on Kody, whose effort at composure is now visibly precarious. Christine stands, her expression half steel and half volatile emotion, as she is about to unleash the next batch of truths. Every word that tumbles from her lips is sharper than the last, revealing years of secret manipulation and silent betrayals that had lain deliberately buried under pleasant faces and hollow vows. The first witness of the day appears, their voice shaking but firm. They recall events contradictory of Kody's previous testimony, moments that expose the cracks between the wives and the tactics he had employed to keep them under wraps. Christine listens attentively, every word fueling the simmering rage within her eyes. Robyn fidgets in her seat, her hands gripping her papers tightly. She had always trusted the story Kody told her, but with every testimony that passes, her self-doubt gnaws at her. She starts to notice a pattern in the choices, the midnight phone calls, the secret meetings, all leading to something she can no longer deny. When deceptions fall apart, reality strikes harder than any judge's verdict. Janelle stands up next, her voice calm, nearly soothed in its evenness, but the gravity of her words cannot be overlooked. She speaks of times of quiet agony, times she had witnessed Christine and Mary struggle with the intricacies of their lives, every sacrifice and battle etched in the memory of those who had dared to see. Her words outline a picture of a family bound together by thin strings, every string tattered under the weight of lies. The judge leans forward, the tension acutely sensed, as a pile of confidential letters is put on the table. Private and intimate, these letters reveal broken promises and secret motives. Christine reads aloud from them, her voice cracking just enough to remind all in the courtroom of the people cost behind every legal point. Mary's eyes remain steady, but her jaw tightens, a subtle acknowledgement that the truth, long ignored, is finally surfacing. She had been aware of much behind closed doors, and seeing it validated publicly brings a quiet, almost vindicated satisfaction. Truth has a way of unmasking even the strongest illusions. The courtroom darkens for a moment as one more piece of evidence is shown on the screen. Video footage and voice recordings that betray the secret conversations, the whispered maneuvers, the veiled ultimata that had been silently transpiring. Kody's face goes white as he sees himself, unaware that these moments had been captured and are now irrefutable. Christine leans forward, her voice cutting through the room like a knife. She does not scream, does not beg. She recounts, letting evidence do the talking, each witness statement bolstering her argument and tearing down Kody's carefully constructed story. Robyn then rises, her voice shaking but firm. She speaks for herself, of her own experiences, of the times she had doubted her position in the family, and of the instances she had seen lies she could no longer deny. Her confession lends emotional depth, overlaying heartache on the already charged courtroom environment. Some truths are too great to be overlooked, even if hidden deep. The air in the room is heavy as Kody struggles to answer, his defense crumbling beneath the avalanche of evidence. The cracks in his facade grow, his tightly held control sliding from his grasp like sand between fingers. Christine stands firm, unflinching, as the cover story hidden for decades comes apart in front of her in real time. The judge requests a brief recess, the air in the room hanging heavy as smoke after a flame. Everyone present is aware that the coming minutes will determine not only the fate of this court case, but also the very fabric of their intertwined existence. When betrayal is exposed, the future and past collide in unimaginable fashion. The courtroom lights create long shadows that serve to emphasize the suspense that clings like a storm cloud above everyone in attendance. Kody sits stiff, his fingers drumming anxiously on the wooden top, a stark contrast to the cool, collected image he has worked so hard to preserve for so long. Christine's eyes do not leave his face, a sharp gaze which appears to penetrate every thought, every secret motive, every falsehood he has carefully constructed. The second witness, a longtime family friend, is called to the stand. She speaks softly, but firmly, and recounts moments that demonstrate Kody's manipulation, not in the form of one event, but as a years-long pattern. With each anecdote, each carefully chosen fact, she lays bare the emotional damage his behavior has caused. Each wife, his children, and on the tenuous relationships that had once kept this family intact. Underneath each smile, there may be a storm brewing. Robyn moves restlessly, a flush of awareness creeping over her face. She used to rationalize choices, dismiss gut instincts, and believe the story told her. But now, listening to these stories, she is starting to see the fine threads of manipulation that run through her life. The burden of realization is almost too much to bear, and yet it gives her the strength to at last face the truth. Christine stands, her voice firm but strong, relaying intimate conversations, hidden letters, and instances when Kody's vows had been broken. Her tone is not accusative, but matter of fact, allowing the facts to speak for themselves, enabling the jury, and the family, to see the entire extent of the deception. Mary hunches forward, her face impassive, but each minute detail, a tightening of the jaw, a subtle narrowing of the eyes, exposes the maelstrom of feelings simmering underneath. She remembers events long concealed from the world, anecdotes that show a clear picture of emotional neglect, domination, and the unspoken wars fought behind closed doors. Each secret truth has a knack for claiming center stage. The drama in the courtroom grows as a second batch of emails is displayed on the screen. They are not routine letters. They expose schemes, manipulations, and coded threats carefully crafted to sway results. Kody's previous conviction falters, a fleeting look of fear passing across his face as the room collectively digests the implications of these revelations. Janelle advances, her voice steady but assertive. She tells the story of the emotional chaos she lived, always having to broker, to shield, and to reconcile. Her account intertwines the views of all the wives, highlighting not only betrayal, but also strength, staying power, and the bravery it takes to resist a wave of deceit. At times, the loudest voices are the softest. The judge leans forward, indicating seriousness of the upcoming testimony. A previously secret video appears, evidence of late-night meetings, secretive whispers, and moments that oppose what Kody has said before. The effect is instantaneous. Whispers spread throughout the courtroom, eyes open wide, and even Kody have trouble keeping composed. Christine explains the tape with care, calling out subtle clues that betrays manipulation and deception. Robyn, Mary, and Janelle nod silently in understanding, each piece of testimony adding emotional depth to an already tense environment. The courtroom is charged, the air almost palpable with tension. The past cannot be kept buried. It always ends up in the present. Kody tries to speak at last, but his words falter beneath the burden of truth. The story he had kept his grip on for so long is slipping, coming apart in front of all of them, leaving him bare and open. Christine's measured, quiet observations slice through the tension like a surgeon's knife, highlighting clarity over conflict. As the session approaches a recess, all those in the courtroom, witnesses, jury, loved ones, experience the gravity of the disclosures. The fight has escalated beyond matters of jurisprudence. It is now one of truth versus deception, of honesty versus treachery. When deception is revealed, hearts and minds are compelled to confront reality. The atmosphere inside the courtroom seems thicker than ever. Each look, each whisper feels heightened, burdened by years of unspoken reality. Kody sits in the defendant's chair, his fingers interlocked tightly, knuckles pale, as the courtroom gradually realizes the import of the past testimonies. The courtroom is quiet, except for the soft rustle of papers, and the quiet buzz of expectation, as everyone waits for the next to be said. A surprise witness walks in, someone that no one was anticipating. Their testimony sends a ripple of shock right through the courtroom. In a quiet, measured tone, they start to talk about moments that reveal deeper layers of manipulation, moments that were concealed even from the wives themselves. Every detail is accurate, every anecdote another stroke painting a portrait of betrayal and emotional upheaval that has been decades in the building. Occasionally the reality comes when it is not expected. Christine leans forward slightly, her gaze keen, drinking in each word. Her previously calm demeanor now has an edge, a combination of vindication and righteous indignation. Each discovery bolsters her conviction, and the courtroom can feel it. The dynamic is altered. What was once a tightly managed account is now beginning to crumble, and Kody's cool facade starts to crack under the pressure of gathered facts. Robyn's expression mirrors a combination of shock and emerging comprehension. She has existed in a universe in which tales were not fully told, in which realities were distorted to accommodate comfort, and now she is being presented with the raw truth. Her inner conflict is evident, the hurt of awareness, the outrage at having been deceived, but also the dawning sense of empowerment. Not all wars are waged in silence. Some must be witnessed and heard. Mary speaks second, her voice firm but with an unmistakable tone of woundedness. She speaks of late-night confessions and broken promises, moments that were meant to be kept secret, but now reveal the larger game of emotional manipulation. Every word she speaks raises the tension in the courtroom even further, admitting no denial or misinterpretation. Janelle, ever calm, now reveals a once difficult vulnerability. Her testimony is not merely facts. It's the emotional toll of living with a family torn apart by secrets and manipulation. Her reflections are a poignant counterpoint to the courtroom drama, reminding all that beneath the evidence are shattered human hearts deeply wounded. When the hearts are broken in silence, the truth is compelled to speak out loudly. The judge indicates the next evidence, a series of recordings, secretly buried, now brought to fore. The room holds its breath in unison as the recordings are played, furious exchanges, hushed admissions, and moments of heart-wrenching desperation. Each recording fits the testimonies, making them more forceful. Kody squirms uncomfortably, unable to meet anyone's eyes, aware that the masterfully spun narrative he had counted on is now falling apart before his very eyes. Christine moves forward once more, leading the jury through the recordings, pointing out discrepancies, contradictions, and manipulation. Her voice is calm but emotional, a contained force that demands attention without sacrificing empathy. Robyn, Mary, and Janelle share fleeting glances, each silently recognizing the infinite power of these revelations and the justice of finally facing the truth. Secrets most well concealed can't withstand light indefinitely. As the session reaches its peak, emotional tension is palpable in the room. The story of control, lies, and betrayal has been exposed. Kody's efforts to regain composure are in vain. The truth has been brought to the forefront, and he is left bare. All the individuals in the courtroom, from jurors to family members, sense the emotional impact of what has been exposed. The session concludes in muted intensity, a moment poised between revelation and expectation, leaving all, including the audience, yearning for the ultimate showdown that looms but moments away. Wherever the past intersects with the present, nothing is left unscathed. The courtroom is charged, electric, as everyone feels the tale reach its turning point. The air is heavy with expectation, every heartbeat in tandem with the tension remaining in the air. Kody sits stiffly, knowing that the culmination of decades of lies, betrayals, and hushed words is at last closing in on him. All eyes are on him, but none more piercing than Christine's. Her eyes are fixed, a combination of calm resolve and righteous anger. The following evidence is produced: a series of letters and texts that expose unspoken understandings, clandestine decisions, and acts of betrayal that no one would ever have predicted. The text on the page slices through the courtroom's facade with the precision of a blade. Each letter lends substance to the accumulating pile of reality, peeling away layers of manipulation, prejudice, and dishonesty that had been carefully concealed for years. Truth finds its voice, even in silence. Christine stands again, her voice demanding, telling the background of each note and text. She does not scream, she does not dramatize, and yet each word carries power. She vividly describes the carefully planned actions that had influenced the lives of every wife, every child, and the entire family. Robyn's mouth closes in a thin line, and a flash of regret dances across her face. She had been torn between loyalty and knowledge, and now the starkness of reality cannot be escaped. Mary stretches forward, her hands closing briefly as she relives her own viewpoint, finally allowing the feelings she had kept so hidden to flow through. Her testimony is raw and emotional, showing not only the suffering she has endured, but also the bravery it has taken to now speak. Janelle, as always calm, joins her voice, a blend of tears and fortitude, reminding everyone that the financial damages of lies must reach far deeper than the court. They reach the soul and heart. The climax is near as the ultimate piece of evidence. A video recording is revealed. The camera picks up moments never seen before: clandestine conversations, charged confrontations, and reactions that expose the nature of relationships long shrouded in control and subterfuge. The courtroom gasps as the pieces come together, the emotional bite felt in every nook. Some truths must be seen, not heard. Kody cannot answer, his defenses crumbling with every second of the video. His practiced calm cracks into minute tremors, passing moments of remorse and silent recognition of the destruction inflicted. The wives, one in their determination, but each with scars of their own, watch with calculated passion. Their presence is both strength and justice, a quiet witness to sustained strength in the aftermath of heartbreak. The gavel of the judge comes down with finality, marking the conclusion of proceedings in the courtroom. There is silence, heavy with contemplation and relief. And yet, despite this, the emotional undertow continues to be alive, leaving a lingering echo, the acknowledgement that once truth is out, it can never be forgotten, and healing starts when honesty is accepted. Even in the most prolonged struggles, courage and honesty cut the way ahead. Christine advances,
glancing over her shoulder toward the audience, as if addressing them directly. What would you do if your family's secrets were exposed? She inquires, voice soft but unyielding. The question lingers, challenging reflection and participation. The tale ends with a still, intense moment. The wives share meaningful looks, a quiet but indelible connection reaffirmed. Each has suffered pain, betrayal, and heartache, but each is stronger, wiser, and ready to take back her own life. When the tempest passes, strength and clarity are left behind, and the truth will out. Don't forget to subscribe to Sister Wife Daily Scoop to stay on top of every turn, every betrayal, and every emotional breakthrough in the Sister Wives universe. Comment below, who do you believe really had the power, and who was hurt the most?